What's up, guys? Welcome back to the SUPES channel. My name is Matt Ramos, and on this channel, I aim to entertain, inform, and inspire using the topic of discussion as always, which is superheroes. Today, I'm sitting down with a staple in the world of superheroes, Aaron Toney. Aaron has stunt doubled characters like Black Panther, Falcon. He was the fighting choreographer for the Titans TV show. And now we have Aaron here ready to talk with us, talk about his journey, talk about his life story. So Aaron, welcome. I know you've been traveling all over the world, doing all of these crazy things, brother, but I want to thank you here for taking the time to do this interview with me.
Oh, right on, man. Thank you for that wonderful intro, brother. Man, freaking awesome. That was great. I don't think I've ever been introed like that besides with like Travis Swan, man. This is great.
We ready, bro?
Right on, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate this. This is great.
So, Aaron, you're obviously such an accomplished man in the world of superheroes, in the world of acting, and the Hollywood business. You know, you were the fighting choreographer for the Titans TV show. You've worked on some of the biggest movies of all time, including Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You've done it all. You've experienced it all. But what got you to say, I want to wake up out of this bed in the morning and I want to do some high-level stunts that are extremely dangerous? What inspired you to start that journey?
You know, it's interesting. It wasn't really so much of a I want to be, dangerous. It was more of I was heavily influenced by Bruce Lee, Jean-Claude Van Damme, a couple others, Jackie Chan, Jet Li. All of these people really inspired me to pursue fight choreography a lot more than I was just kind of in this bubble of watching everything. But my first sort of exposure was with a team called Zero Gravity. So that team, if anyone's familiar with the sort of independent circuit, that team for me was my sort of introduction to sort of like fight choreography on an independent level, because they kind of were self-taught and they learned a bunch of stuff. So I was literally groomed by a mentor, Carrie Wong, who just taught me how to do like sort of like fights and Hong Kong style choreography. So I got really in tune with sort of that style of doing action really, really quickly. And learning choreography didn't come easy for me, but my love for it was so deep that it didn't matter. I was like, I'm gonna learn this no matter what. So yeah, it just kind of propelled from there. From there, slowly, I learned a lot of different disciplines. I got into Taekwondo like when I was about 13. So like, which is kind of late in the game. Most kids learn at a younger age, like, from like 5 to 8. But I didn't traditionally pick up an actual martial art until I was about 13. I had books. So I had like Hungar Kung Fu books and like Hapkido books that my dad gave me because I couldn't really afford classes at that time. So doing all that stuff sort of filtered my mind and made me a little more sort of how do you say, regimented already. So by the time I got to my first sort of like Taekwondo class, I was kind of ahead of the class. So I kind of jumped belts, which was great. So I went from like yellow belt to like green belt all the way to like my brown belt. Like I like skipped belts just because I was already so knowledgeable about stretching and I was just really, really quick to learn because I loved this stuff. So yeah.
That's amazing. That's like being an advanced student and you're just skipping grades out here, going straight to college and you didn't even go through high school.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But no, from there, it was mainly about, I finished sort of like my martial arts training. And then later on in life, I got into circus stuff. I'm kind of jumping ahead because I don't know how much time you have. If I was to go into all this stuff, we'd be here for hours. So I'm just gonna sort of truncate a lot of this, buddy. But yeah, so from sort of my martial arts background, I got into circus stuff, like really probably around in my like teens. Like I think I was about maybe 19 or 20 when I started learning about the circus world. But I was about 24 when I joined a troupe called Cirque de la Mer at SeaWorld. And it was kind of one of those things where I didn't want to audition, but a buddy of mine was like, get up and go. And I was like, okay, fine. And I got it because I was kind of sort of a self-taught gymnast up until that point. Like I had some sort of formal gymnastics, like tumbling training. So I I was okay. I was decent enough to not look like someone who had no form. So I went there, did the audition, and I got picked. And then I was like, okay, what do I do now? I got picked for this show. I have no idea what I'm doing. I had no idea what I was in for, brother. I ended up doing an apparatus called Russian swing. And if you're familiar with like O or any of these other shows, it's a big apparatus that can hurt you. And I had no idea. I was like, I'm going to audition for this circus show. I have no idea what I'm doing. They're like, yeah, you're great. You're going to be doing Russian swing. I was like, great, whatever. And then I'm like, hey, what's Russian swing? And then when I got to when I got to SeaWorld and saw what it was, I kind of went, you know what I mean? Because I had no idea. So for anyone who has seen you know what Russian swing is. It's a huge metal swing that literally you have two pushers. You have one pusher on the back and you have a secondary pusher usually. Then you have a flyer at the front. The swing is like this. So if this is a side view. The swing rotates like this. You call hup at the back and then you go launching off on the front. That's what I ended up doing. I started off as a pusher first because I was definitely afraid of this thing. So I was a secondary pusher for maybe about the first month. And then after that, my Russian swing coach in a show said, you're jumping today. I had been training jumps, but I hadn't jumped in a show yet. And so he was like, hey, you're jumping today. So-and-so's pushing. I was like, no. And so I ended up jumping in my first show, crashed in the water. But after that, I was okay. It was a lot of fun after that. But I think that's one of the things that might have helped me get over a lot of fears and sort of groomed me for what I was in for once I started to get into stunts. So yeah,
And
my circus background was one of those things.
yeah, man. And I'm sitting here listening to you tell me all of these crazy stories of just like these dangerous stunts. And you obviously were extremely scared to do these things. So what can you say to the people watching at home and speak to them about how to overcome fear? Because there's obviously been so many times in your life where you faced something that is literally life threatening, but you've overcame that
Yeah.
to achieve a greater level of just success.
Oh yeah, man. One of the ways I do it is I go through every possible scenario that can happen and might happen. And then just before I go, this is what I love doing. Just before I go, I forget about it. I go, okay, I checked that. That could kill me. That might really hurt. I got to make sure I have enough pads. I got pads everywhere. Okay, great. All right. And when they go ahead and start saying, all right, stunt set, camera set, ready in 3, 2, 1. You let go because you have to. You can go ahead and check and assess as much as you can, but you can't hold on to that stuff right before you go. You check it and then you let it go. And that's the best thing to go ahead and do. And then it's great because as long as you have adrenaline, that means you are alert and aware, and that will most of the time keep you safe.
Dude, that's amazing. That reminds me of like when I was 18 years old, I went skydiving. And
Mhm.
it reminds me a lot of like the mentality of skydiving because like, you know, your head is just rushing with it. Like you were just rushing with like just the worst thoughts. I'm gonna die. My parachute's not gonna open. And then as you're like sitting on the edge of that plane with the door open, it's just like a 3, 2, 1, and then you let go. And then
Yeah.
at the time of like maximum danger, when you're actually falling, you're not even thinking about those thoughts and you're just experiencing like something that's so blissful and so amazing.
Oh man, yeah. You know, it's funny that when you say that, I went skydiving, and one of the things that the tandem jump instructor told me is that he
Mhm.
said, "You're way too calm." And I was like, "Man, if I'm gonna go, at least I got a great view, man." You know what I mean? He
You
was
were
like,
ready,
"You're way
bro.
too calm." I was so ready, bro. And he was like, "You want to do a backflip?" I was like, "Yeah, man, let's do it." And we ended up doing a gainer out of the
Oh
plane. It was
my
great.
God. So I want to talk a bit about your time working with Marvel. You know,
Yeah.
you stunt doubled some pretty amazing characters, you know, Falcon, Black Panther. So from your
Mhm.
time working at Marvel, what was your favorite character to work with?
You know what? They all have a special place, Matt. I think the biggest thing is I got to start with Falcon, and to me, that's really really special because I got to help give birth along with my brother and Anthony Mackie, I got to give birth to a character that no one had seen, and no one really, for me, I don't think anyone expected much of Falcon
Hmm.
at first. No one really did. They were like, "Oh, he just has wings," and I was like, and I would hear that on set, "Oh, he's just the guy with the wings and the guns," and I was like, "Oh, okay, all right," you know what I mean? And I had ideas already. I was like, I can kick, so I've got all these skills. I wonder if I can incorporate some of my kicking into some of the fight choreography. And early on, bro, we were already trying to do a lot of fun stuff, and they were like, too early. So
Yeah.
I've still got footage of things I was trying. I might share them like on my like TikToks and my Instagram soon, but there's a bunch of things that I was trying early on that I just never got to really do until we started doing the later shows like Civil War and
Yeah.
Infinity War and freaking Endgame, and now Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Those are the shows that I've got to really showcase stuff. And even Ant-Man, I mean, that was a sort of different fight coordinator, but that was when things started to get more broad. But yeah, man, I think early on it was like Falcon. I was like, wow, I get to really hone in this character with Mackie, and it's just been amazing to sort of see the sort of evolution because it has been a slow evolution, and
Yeah.
I love what everybody's been doing with like YouTube videos of showing like, you know how they've got Cap's move set from like beginning to end, you know what I mean? They've got Falcons as well. And I'm like, yeah, man, this is good. I love seeing that stuff. I love when fans do that stuff because he actually, it makes it worth it for you to go, yes, I have put a lot of work into this for you guys, not for me. It's for the like fans because I want people to enjoy what we're building and for it to make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, Falcon's been great, but also BP has been great as well. I got to tell you, man, it's been great to get a piece of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Guy De Silva was our first double, and then we had Danny Graham, and we've had a couple of other guys over the years. But every time we've had Falcon, I've been not Falcon, Black Panther. I've been able to go ahead and step in as well. So even when we were on Civil War, I was in the suit just for like small shots. And then when we did reshoots, I was there for like his first fight, and that was great to me. Just to kind of give this character a good intro, you know what I mean? Getting to go ahead and do his like first pose and
Yeah.
some of his first basic kicks, you know what I mean? Just with my signature sort of like kicks. Well, I like to do multiple chain kicks on one leg. I've done it in Power Rangers as well, so you can kind of know it's me if I
Hmm.
do chain kicking on one leg because it's just been a staple for me. You know what I mean? It's fun and it gets a moment. So yeah.
Yeah, and it must be crazy for you because like we're watching the movie and we're watching like these historic moments like Black Panther's first entrance in the MCU. And then for you watching the film, you're like, that's me. Like that's me
Yeah.
in the suit. So that just must be such a humbling experience. And do you have any like crazy like behind the scenes stories that have like never been told before from these like crazy adventures you've had on set?
Oh man. Nothing's really too crazy. I mean, if I can say one thing, I think the Russos are amazing directors. Like those two guys complement each other so well. And it's one thing to kind of enjoy working with someone who has it all together, but there's a sort of organic approach to the way that the Russos like they've got everything sort of, they've done their homework and
Yeah.
their research, but they're fans like you and me. You know what I mean? And that's special because when someone cares, that makes the entire crew change. You know what I mean? Like it starts at the top. If you've got a great leader, you're gonna have a great
1,000%.
product. The Russos don't turn out bad movies. You know what I mean? Like I've never had a bad experience with them. You know what I mean? And I've also learned a lot from them for my own endeavors. So I don't really have any sort of like secret tidbits, but I mean, I can say that working with the Russos is among one of my most treasured memories because I think for the first, I think with when we did the Winter Soldier, when we did that one, I was in meetings with them. It was myself, Sam Hargrave, Heidi Moneymaker, and all of us in the same room with our stunt coordinator at the time, Tom Harper,
Hmm.
and they just wanted everybody there, and it was really cool to just kind of sit in a sort of a think tank with the Russos early on, and us just talk about like the elevator fight or what we were going to go ahead and do later on. And these guys were just really good to just, they were like, hey guys, we just want to sit here and just talk about what we're going to be doing. And, you know, I had questions and everybody had questions and they were just really receptive to it. And it was the first time that I had seen that from directors, not just be sort of like, and which is fine. If you only want to talk to one person, great. But they, for some reason, wanted to talk to all of us. And we were all in the room and it was just nice to kind of throw out your 2 cents or to get feedback from them about questions that you had. So I like that approach and I welcome that approach with things that I go ahead and do because it takes a village, brother. Like
Yeah.
movie making is not just so-and-so's name. At the end of the day, yes, you need to have someone who is in charge and responsible for the overall tone. But it's good to make sure that you pay it forward and show respect to your entire crew. And I think that that's one thing that the Russos do really, really well.
Yeah, that, and you know, again, now that you're telling me this, like this explains why they started off in a movie like Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and then Marvel bumped them up to direct the two biggest movies of all time. So
Oh, brother, yes.
from your
Yeah.
experience working on like Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, I'm sure filming those movies and doing those two films back to back was a way different experience from filming The Winter Soldier and Civil War, because in Endgame and Infinity War, you know, you're assembled with all of the other stunt doubles around you, and I'm sure that must have been a crazy experience for you. So can you speak a bit about your time working on Avengers Infinity War and Endgame?
Yeah. You know what? Going back to what you were saying about so sort of like secret tidbits. I I did get okay. I have two. Okay, so one thing was when we figured out we were getting Spider-Man. That was huge, bro. When we found out who it was, because we were all like, "Who's the actor? Who do you think they're gonna cast? Do you think they're gonna bring back Andrew Garfield? What are they gonna do?" And we were all like, "No, man, it's gonna be a younger kid." And when we met Tom and we got to train him, we knew like right away. We were like, "Oh, this kid is it," because I've got video of Tom just doing like basic like parkour, and he was solid. He was already like he was a specimen, and I was just like, oh my god, that is Peter Parker. If you could go ahead and look at anybody, you look at Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and all these other guys, you go, yeah, those guys were great, but Tom was the first person that I ever saw embody Peter Parker like immediately. You didn't go, oh, we kind of I gotta warm up to him. No. I was like, that's Peter Parker, like already, like because the kid was just physically adept to acrobatics, but also he had a sort of innocence to him, and he was just pure. You know what I mean? And I was like, this is great. I was like, I'm so excited to see what what this kid does, and so that was amazing to know that we had a really good Peter Parker moving forward, and then knowing already when we were doing Civil War that there was already talks about the next two. They were like, oh no, we're gonna do the next Avengers back to back. And so that was a 4-year ordeal. Like we already knew when we were doing Civil War that was gonna happen. We just didn't know that it was gonna take that long. So yeah, those two things were amazing to go ahead and know and to find out as we were working on one film.
Damn, dude, that's that's so crazy. And for Tom, who has like a gymnastics background, that must have been just amazing to see him step into that role behind the scenes and just embody it, bring it to life. Again, Civil War was such a, you know, I always go back to Civil War as one of the most important Marvel films ever because of the introduction of Spider-Man, Black Panther, and now these are some of the two biggest characters in our entire pop culture. So that movie just worked wonders. And even though it wasn't on the scale of Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, it still did so much for the MCU.
Oh my God, yeah. It's funny, man. The Russos would go ahead and call, and everybody else around set was calling. We were literally calling it like it was its own thing because we were like, okay, we have Winter Soldier, now we have Civil War, and by the time we got to Civil War, it was like Avengers like 2.5 because it was literally the continuation of what was going on from Age of Ultron. You know what I mean? So it was like it was really important to make sure that everybody understood that moving forward. So yeah.
Yeah, people always call Civil War like Avengers 2.5, but you know, screw it. If we could get another like low-key Avengers movie in the MCU, I'm all down for it.
Right?
Yeah.
Who knows?
So you doubled over there at Marvel, working with so many different characters, but then you also did some stuff behind the scenes for the show Titans. You were the fighting choreographer for that show, and I want to give you props and honor you because the fighting and the action in that show is just it's top tier. So
Thanks, bro.
what was it like stepping behind the camera and kind of orchestrating kind of like this art form instead of participating in it?
You know what? It was really good. I enjoyed having that avenue to just paint. I like to go ahead and say, never stop painting. It's one of my phrases I like to go ahead and use. It's because all you're doing is creating and trying to really give story through action. And learning that from the Russos was really important because I think up until to that point before working with them, I just really enjoyed doing what I saw was visually appealing. And after working with the Russos, I understood that story was so much more rewarding. And so I took that with me from Marvel to DC to try to put a little more story into each fight that we built with Titans, with Dick Grayson, with Jason Todd, and with Starfire and all these other characters that that we were bringing out for Titans. It was really cool. So with like Robin's first sort of like alley fight, telling the story with his bow staff, that baton, and giving him that moment of when he finally cast it and both sides telescope out and hit the like two guys. That was a moment I saw in my head. I was like, okay, if we're gonna have this really cool sort of evolving sort of like bow staff, let's tell how powerful it is and why it is special. You know what I mean? So that was a moment I saw in my mind that I just really wanted to make sure that we were telling that proper story. With like Beast Boy even. I know Ryan Potter personally. And so I knew that, I don't know if you know this, but Ryan actually sent in a video of him as Robin, and it was really cool. So he did that, and he ended up getting the attention of DC, but he ended up being Beast Boy instead, which is fine. You know what I mean? Because I think he also does a really good job with that character as well. But it's just really cool to see everybody's styles. You know what I mean? Like Beast Boy's got a more visceral style. I've got previs that haven't even been like released because we haven't been able to do a lot. You know what I mean? Like, story is king. So you go ahead and you sort of paint a picture of all this stuff that you think that the production wants to go ahead and see. And sometimes they don't want to see all that. Sometimes they're like, oh, we only need this much. You know what I mean? And that's fine. But we got to have a lot of fun with like Robin stuff and like Jason Todd stuff. Starfire, a little things here and there, but those, I think Robin's sort of style. And we also got to do, which hasn't been released yet, we got to do Nightwing stuff at the end of the first season. There's a snippet on our stunt coordinator Larnell Stovall's page. He has a snippet of the sort of Kali section I actually choreographed, and it looks really cool because Brenton has a sort of Kali background. So all of the stuff that we were giving him, like the heaven combos and all the sort of stances he was doing, he was doing them like legitimately well. So every time I showed him something or got ideas for like Kali from other people, we would throw them at him and he would get them and we'd go, oh, okay, so all right, we'll give you more. All right, we'll give you a little bit more. And he just killed it. But we didn't end up using a lot of that stuff. They kind of waited to reveal his suit in season 2 at the end, but there is a whole fight that he's done that I can't even really talk about because they haven't released it yet. But he's done like a whole fight scene in the suit with the other Titans, and it's this big like reveal of them, and it's great. You know what I mean? But at some point, I'm sure DC will go ahead and reveal it. That's all I can go ahead and say. But yeah, it's really cool.
For sure. And going back to your journey of bringing to life the Falcon character, you talked about how in the Winter Soldier, you proposed to do some things that they didn't let you do because Falcon wasn't at that point in his career as being a superhero, and he was only being introduced. Now, for the show that comes out next month that we're also excited about, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What was it like working on that? Because it seems like in that show, just from the trailers that we've seen so far, This is like literally the greatest Falcon action we've ever seen. So it seems like they gave you a lot more freedom to play with Falcon's character.
Yeah, yeah. I can say this. I can say a couple of things. Our stunt coordinator, Dave McCumber. Let me tell you guys, I think when the show comes out, if it's edited well, which I hope, because always like whenever you get to a certain point, the edit can either make or break the actual film, the actual series. I just hope that they do the action justice, because our team, along with Dave McCumber, put a lot of work into these fights. We were trying to do a lot of things, and I threw everything. Like I said, I've talked about this in other interviews. I threw everything that I could possibly do at this character. You know what I mean? Within the sort of confines of the costume. There were things I wanted to try, but there were things that you just couldn't do in the actual costume. So you worked within the parameters you had. I've still got ideas for Falcon that I've never done, but I think that's for a later date. Anyways, I just hope that when this show does come out, that they do it justice. And I hope that we get to see the previses that Dave McCumber, the wizard, as I like to call him, put out, because these are some of the best, I kid you not, Matt, when I say this, these are some of the best previses for action that I have ever seen, hands down, because we haven't had this level of sort of storytelling yet, or been allowed to kind of do this. So when it came to a lot of things, we were sort of given the reins to kind of create, you know what I mean, within parameters, but without disclosing anything, because I can't really talk about sort of the specifics. I can say that we got to eventually do a lot of things that I wasn't expecting us to do. So we'll see.
We'll see. We're literally a month away from Falcon and the Winter Soldier going down. We have WandaVision. We're in the middle of the craziness that is WandaVision. But man,
I'm only on episode 3. Like, I need to watch 4 and 5. I watch your let me tell you something.
Aaron.
I watch parts of your updates and I go, nope. I like to turn on now, man. I need to watch 4 and 5. I'm not there yet. So after this interview, I'm gonna go watch those immediately, just so I can be caught up.
Aaron, that is mandatory. Like that is your homework after this, bro. Because these next 2 episodes, episodes 4 and 5, they just take the series to a whole nother level.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I know what happens, but I'm as a fan, I go, okay, I know that it's gonna happen, but I'm not gonna say, or I'm not gonna project. I'm not gonna think about it.
Yeah.
Because I love this. Like, it's funny, man. Like, when you work on these films and you find out about the things you find out about, like, you go, all right, I know about that, but still I don't know everything. And it's a testament to sort of Marvel and like Kevin Feige that they don't give everyone the script. Because if you did, you'd go, oh, great. No, great. You know what I mean? So I enjoyed when I've worked on like Endgame and Infinity War. I've enjoyed not getting the entire script. Like, it's great to me because I love this stuff. I've binge watched the entire sort of catalog of all of these movies, all the way from the first Captain America all the way to Endgame. Now I know them all back and forth, which I feel is important when you work with like Marvel. So it's I feel like it's almost a prerequisite. You need to watch all these films because you will have a greater appreciation, and it prepares you for whatever you work on, whether it's Doctor Strange that they're doing in the UK right now, or anything. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, WandaVision, just that show itself, like that is something that in order to really enjoy it and really appreciate just the little intricacies, the small details, you have to watch the 23 films that came before it. It's mandatory nowadays.
It's mandatory. It is. And it's so much fun. Like, I remember by the time I got to Iron Man again, like you watch, what is it? You watch Captain America, then you watch Iron Man, and then you go to like one of the Hulks, I think. Can't remember the order. But anyways, once I watched Iron Man again, I went, oh my God, this still holds up. This is beautiful. I love it. I love that I can sit there and watch Favreau's Iron Man, the first one, the one that really set the tone, and you go, okay, great. I'm in. You know what I mean? It's so bloody good still. I say bloody good because I've been in the UK and I say bits and all these. I've got like English slang ingrained in me because I've been bouncing around from like the UK to like Abu Dhabi and all these other places now. So you might hear me say some sort of off things every now and then, bro. So sorry.
And in your crazy career doing all of these high level action, high level stunts, are there any like crazy injuries you've experienced? And if so, what was it like recovering and just going through those injuries?
I've had maybe minimal injuries. I've been pretty lucky. Early on, before I got involved with Marvel, I had a really nasty sort of a collarbone sort of a separation. That's been the extent of it. But with Marvel, it's been more sort of like gashes and sort of like stitches. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if there's one double between Sam Hargrave, Heidi Moneymaker, and myself that we all have stitches somewhere. Sam has them somewhere, I think. I think he has them as well. But like me and Heidi, for sure. I've got mine on this elbow right here. I don't know if you can see this big old bruise. This is from Civil War. This was from Falcon getting grabbed by Winter Soldier when he was being mind controlled, and they come into that room where Zemo's just read off the notes and he goes back into like Winter Soldier mode, and they enter the room, and Falcon's the first one for some reason to interact with it. I remember this. It's like they both enter, and like Steve's over here and like Sam's over here, and you're like, why am I the first one to get grabbed? And he grabs Falcon, and what story's cake? It's to get him out of the way so that he can have his exchange with Steve. Got it. So I have to be the scapegoat. So my first gag of the movie, bro. This was the first day. This is in the like behind the scenes too. It's like the first sort of like setup is my gag, and it was me getting thrown into the sort of cage that Winter Soldier was in. That cage had no padding. It was wood and metal, and it was hard. And I was like, I just remember Matt going up to it, and I was like, and like Sam's like, hey man, so you're gonna be going into this? I was like, all right, bro, let me see. It's padded, right? And I'm like, okay, and that's the name of the game. Sometimes you get past, sometimes you don't. And it was one of those things where you're like, all right, here we go. Chucked in my mouthpiece, make sure I had a back pad, and I set the mini tramp accordingly, and I ran. I literally ran like probably maybe like 20 yards, hit the mini and just augured in, and it was nasty. It was so loud, and everybody was like, okay. And I got up and I was just like, and then like Sam's like, shh, you're all right, you're okay, you're okay. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, no, I'm not. That really hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyways, I got up, played it really cool, and then I sat on a bed and I was like, oh man, I need to do I need stitches? And they were like, well, maybe. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Well, I should go. Actually, it's funny. This is the one from that show. This is from, I've got two. I've got one from Civil War, and I've got one from Winter Soldier, actually. So I've got two.
It's funny. You have like a museum of scars and stitches going down your arm.
So here, and if you can see this one, where is it? Where's it at? Let me see here. Yeah, so this one, I don't know if you can tell. I'm trying to find the light so you can see it. Anyways, I've got one from Civil War. This was the smaller one. This is the one when I went into the actual the metal beam. I had a pad on. And it's somehow, I think the sort of trauma, I hit it so hard that the skin just split. It was great. It was awesome. So that was one of the ones that I was like, I don't need stitches. They were like, nah, you need to go get stitches. I was like, okay.
Yeah, man. It sounds like it's almost like an initiation. It's kind of like like that is your initiation. Like, welcome to Marvel. Welcome to Marvel. Yeah, I actually interviewed him. I don't know if you know him, Bobby Holland Hansen. He's the double for Chris. So he's had some pretty crazy injuries. And
yeah, man.
Thankfully, you haven't had as crazy injuries as he's had. So
Bobby's
a little bumps and bruises. We'll take it. We'll take it.
These are like medals of honor. These are nothing. Like, well, I mean, I've also had like, I guess I can talk about my lower back. So every stunt person, okay, as you start interviewing more people, this should be a key question for you. You ask them about, you just asked me, what's been your worst injury? The one injury I haven't told you about is my lower back. The reason why is because every stunt person in their career is going to have lower back issues. And the reason is because of the harnesses that we always wear. The harnesses are meant to keep everything in, and they compress our spines a little bit. But also when you do ratchets and stuff and you get augered in, the lower back is very sort of temperamental. And so ask any of them as you start to interview more, like with me and Bobby, and if you get Heidi Moneymaker and Sam Hargrave, and you get all of us together, ask them about their lower backs. The L1 and the S5, I kid you not, unanimously, everybody will say, oh yeah, I've got the same two that are either ruptured or at a place or have been compressed. Mine are better now because I started doing yoga. So it's been a lot better now. I don't have back issues anymore, but I think there was one show I was on. I was in Atlanta, Georgia, and I remember having back pain so bad it was at an 11, and it was to the point where I couldn't walk. It was so debilitating. And I was working, and I had to go in and get adjusted and get a prescription to go ahead and get painkillers so that I could continue to work. And usually I'm not one to take like painkillers or anything, but the pain was so bad. My hands were trembling. These are the things that you never hear about. You always go, oh my God, it must be so much fun. You're like, no, it's sometimes debilitating. Yeah. Like it could be really bad. You can be paralyzed or die from being a stunt performer. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I just want to tell people about the dangers of being a stunt performer. It's not always roses and sunshine on the end. Sometimes you go to the hospital. Sometimes you get a pat on the back and you get really good, stunt adjustments. But sometimes there are those times when it is life-threatening. So you got to make sure that you're ready for those moments. You know what I mean? If you pick this profession, that's all. But it is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
See, I go low and then I go high.
Yes, we always end on high. But, I find it so inspiring that through all of these bumps and bruises that you, not only you, but just all of the other stunt doubles, all of the bruises and just injuries that you guys go through, and then you guys still persevere in order to bring these characters to life in the best ways possible. What drives you to continue to do what you do?
It's because I love this stuff, man. Like I'm a genuine fan. I'm a genuine nerd, a geek, an otaku, whatever you want to call it. I have an appreciation for this, and I want to make sure that it is done justice for everybody. So as a fan, I go, all right, this is what we're doing. And it's nice that when you have like the Russos or like Peyton Reed or any of these other directors that really care about the source material, Kevin Feige, you got John Favreau, all these people genuinely care about what we're doing. Nate Moore, one of the main producers, and another person. Everyone cares about this stuff. And so because of that, I will always work with Marvel. Like if they didn't, I wouldn't be here. I would go, okay, they're just collecting checks and doing merchandise. No one cares. No. People genuinely care over there. You know what I mean? And it is the Marvel machine, but there are people in the trenches that give a shit, if I can say that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why I enjoy going back.
Yeah. And, that's why, they've changed the game. They've changed Hollywood forever. And now with Disney Plus at their disposal, they're changing the game once again with TV and streaming. So
my God. Bro, when we get to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it's their mini movies. WandaVision is different because it's got this very sort of creepy undertone, but it's still like an enigma, and it's got a little bit of this and that, and it's great. I love it as well. Like their director for that show was amazing. Everyone on says that was loving him as well. Our show is different. It's different because it's a bunch of mini movies, man. And it's like each one is just its own box of stuff. You know what I mean? Because I can't say anything, but it is. They are dense. You know what I mean? And so for the last 9 months, I was literally felt like I was running a marathon because we were constantly just doing big set pieces of action. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be like TV series. It's literally like a movie. Here's a mini movie 1 and mini movie 2 up until the end. It's
and I think that's big. A huge reason why fans are so excited for Falcon and the Winter Soldier is because unlike WandaVision, where like the episodes tend to be around 25 to 30 minutes long, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the episodes are around 40 to 50 minutes long. So it's literally like we're getting a movie every single Friday. and we cannot be more excited. I can't be more excited to
Yeah,
just
man.
see Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan bouncing off each other. What was it like being on set with them? Because I'm sure that's an interesting dynamic to see in person.
Those guys are great. It's funny, man. I've known them both for a while now. For a while now. Seb's hilarious. Like, you know how, I mean, he plays this like stoic guy, but you know what's great is that we're getting to see another side of him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sort of Seb I know, like on set. Like, he's very dry, but he's also like super quick and funny. So even when like the like trailer scene where like, so what's the plan? And like Mackie jumps out and he's like, no plan. You know what I mean? That's the Seb I know. So I'm like, oh my God, everybody's getting to see a little bit of like Sebastian, like how he actually kind of is, but he's still playing Bucky. But like that's the sort of you're getting to see a character now. You know what I mean? Which is great. He's not just this machine, and he's slowly inched his way into this, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to see him. You know what I mean? To see Bucky.
Yeah, and dude, that's like literally that's why I'm most excited for this show. I mean, I'm obviously super excited to see Falcon stuff and him becoming like the new Captain America, but with Bucky, it's like now is Bucky
that's happening. We don't know that's happening. How do you know that's happening?
I mean, after Endgame, Steve kind of passed down the shield. So I don't know.
I love that everybody thinks that that's what's gonna happen. You know what's great? It's great. Whatever. I don't know. I think it's great, man. Everybody's like, oh, he turns into Captain America.
Dude, and
you don't know that.
And that's the thing. That's the thing with Marvel is that like you have fans theorizing and speculating around the world, and we swear we know what's gonna happen because of everything we've seen before. But then it's like the show actually gets here, and it's like, all right, this is completely different. What the heck is happening?
You know what's great, man? Because I've been on so many of these films, and I look at everything. I look at the Twitters, I look at the Reddits, everything to see what people really know. And it's funny. Sometimes they're right, and sometimes they're so off. And you just go, okay, all right. You go, they think that's what's happening. Well, whatever. That's a really good theory, but no. You know what I mean? And sometimes they're spot on. But who knows? Like, everybody's like, oh, he's going to turn into Captain America. And I'm like, I showed up and I was like, so is he going to turn into Captain America? Dude, no.
Oh, my God.
It's fun.
So, look.
I don't know.
We're in for a show. That's for certain.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Aaron, to conclude this interview, I wanted to ask you, you know, you've been through so many amazing shows, films, productions over the course of your career. You're such an accomplished man. And I want to thank you again for doing this interview, because I'm sure you've entertained, informed, and inspired so many amazing fans out there. But when the day comes that you want to retire and settle down from this crazy lifestyle, what do you want to be remembered for?
You know what, man? I really just want people to have an emotional response to the action that I help with, and for my own projects. Right now, I'm actually developing a series. It's called Project H. It's based off of Throne, which is my original series that I pulled off of my YouTube page, because we are in heavy development right now. And I've started, I don't know if you've seen some of the little pictures I've been showing. Yes. But that's where I'm going next. And I've been plucking people and tasking them from Legacy Effects and all kinds of other companies that work within Marvel, and people to help me out. So I'm getting legitimate, like, best of the best in the biz to help me with my own show as well. So it's a great process that I'm diving into now as a producer, with my own entertainment company. You know what I mean? So it's been a lot of fun, because I've got Halvin Corp Entertainment, and then I've got Global 44 Studios, that we're literally building our own sort of stories now. So what I want to do is I want people to be entertained and to enjoy what they're watching and have a legitimate emotional response to what they're actually seeing. That's my goal. That's what I want to be remembered for.
And that's what you shall be remembered for. Thank you so much, Aaron, for doing this interview, brother. Guys, make sure to check out Aaron and all of his content. Links will be in the description of this video. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. We love you guys 3000, and we'll see you guys next time.